If you're like me, you're making a YouTube video right now. But if you're not like me, you're watching a YouTube video right now. Wait a minute, what if I'm watching a YouTube video? Because now is, when will then be now? Okay, well, if you're like me, you collect toys. Yeah, there we go. And as a fellow toy collector, a lot of us do it because we want to have the greatest number of figures and have a complete collection, because looking at them is fun and it feels a sense of accomplishment. But there are those of us who are in it for the money. And I'm not talking about scalpers or people who are in it to flip toys. I'm talking about the people who deliberately are buying toys as an investment with the idea that they would then be able to use it to put their kids through college one day. Okay, well, maybe yes, maybe no, but this does happen, and there are strategies of applying the idea of for love or money to your hobby. And yes, that's what for low means, for love or money. All right. Anyway, regardless of Star Wars bounty hunter references, there's a lot of things out there that are very collectible that do appreciate in value. But most things do not. I mean, for every comic book that is going to sell at Christie's for a 6-figure or even a 7-figure end price, there are a gazillion items that are hyped up and wind up in the 50 cents bin or the quarter bin or the nickel bin, or you use it to decorate the wall of your office because it is a better use of the cover by ripping it out and posting it on your wall than keeping it as a comic. But there are gems out there. There are comics that if you know and are a expert buyer and connoisseur of the collectible market, you'll know what to pick up, when to pick it up, with the idea that an investment of a few dollars could pay off in the long run. So with the toy market specifically, how do you know what toys are going to appreciate in value and what are worth buying with the idea that holding on to them long term might be worth it? Again, not talking about just flipping it and putting it on eBay to make a quick buck or a quick margin. I'm talking about honest holding on to the toy for a long time. If you're looking to flip things, that's a whole other market altogether, and that's not what we're here to talk about. We're not talking about making a quick profit. We're talking about long-term investments. If you are in this just to put something on eBay, totally your prerogative, and I'm not here to tell you what to do. But I'm going to give advice for those who do want to look at toys as a long-term investment, what might be good to hold on to, because in years or decades, it could be worth a lot more than the price you paid. I mean, everyone knows about those rocket-firing Boba Fetts that are, selling for tens of thousands of dollars. So, will that work for all Star Wars toys? Heck no. I mean, the Power of the Force 2 figures from 1995, everyone rushed out to buy them like they were the new Superman 75. But these toys wound up having one of the biggest production runs of any Star Wars toy ever. Something in the tune of 200 to 300,000 units per figure. They're still selling for retail price. So, yeah, just because it's Star Wars does not mean it's going to go up in value. And just because it's a hot thing like Spider-Man #1 doesn't mean it's going to go up in value. There are rare exceptions. Here's a Star Wars figure that came out a few years ago, Darth Plagueis, and it's going for a pretty buck right now. And a lot of that is because this figure will probably never get done ever again. On the other hand, you have things like Marvel Legends, where at first figures are very valuable because it feels like they're done and they've made the best version possible. And then Marvel will kind of, I don't want to say they'll pull a fast one, but they will want to meet demand. So in addition to putting out figures that you'll never see ever again, probably, like Stan Lee, you'll get figures that are offered first as Build-A-Figures, and later on down the line, they wind up being in the main line, or they even get repackaged. So, perfect example here is Sandman. He was first in a Build-A-Figure wave with Spider-Man Marvel Legends, but because of his aftermarket value and demand, Hasbro released him as a regular basic carded figure, removing some of the long parts of the arm to make him more cost-effective, and putting him on more of a standard body. So, there you go. Huge demand, after price, now it's reissued. Same thing happened with Storm. She was going for a huge aftermarket price, and then Hasbro reissued her exactly as is, and suddenly she became a peg warmer. So, Marvel Legends, Star Wars, it's not always the line to invest in, because figures that are major characters are kind of always going to get redone and have better versions made. So, really, if you're looking to invest in toys, one of the things I say is stay out of retail. I mean, buy retail product for kids, of course, and, gifts, and I mean, retail is a great place to buy toys, but if you're looking to invest in toys and have toys that you can put away in your attic and take out in 30 years to make a lot of money off of, well, you're going to want to look at the toys that are not sold at retail. Things like the NECA bell rug from years ago, never sold at retail, and goes for a huge amount of money on the aftermarket. The less distribution a toy has nowadays, the more it tends to be worth in the long run because fewer people have it. There is, of course, nostalgia-based toys, but when you have something that's only online, again, like the Sail Barge on the HasLab program that was just offered 2 years ago and is now quadrupled in value. The Sentinel, another Marvel Legends HasLab item, or rather another HasLab item, this time with Marvel Legends, which is due to ship in a few months, is probably going to see a very similar type of increase in price. So looking at things like HasLab, things that are only online that complement retail lines, definitely a good investment idea. So if you're looking at nostalgia, while it's definitely appealing to invest in new toy lines like Masters of the Universe Origins, which is at retail and is a nostalgia-based toy line, well, it's at retail, which means it has the maximum amount of distribution possible. Yeah, it's hard to find some of the, the secondary and tertiary waves with the main characters like Skeletor and He-Man kind of becoming peg warmers, but this is not the type of line that's going to increase in value. It's going to be super hot right away, but then eventually even the really hard to find things like the Rise of Evil 2-pack become peg warmers. Nostalgia only has so much pull when it comes to toys and when it comes to investment. Most people who want a nostalgia toy would rather pay big money for the original versus a remake of that toy, and that's really what something like Origins is. Versus if you look at something like Motu Classics, that line was never at retail, so it tends to go up in value because collectors realize we're probably never going to see something like this again, where it's not, well, there's some nostalgia, it's more the Masters of the Universe family of characters done in a 6-inch highly articulated form factor. So that's something that is increasing in value. NECA's Back to the Future line. Yes, it is at retail, but the demand for Back to the Future figures has not been satiated. There's never been articulated Back to the Future figures before in movie style. So this is something I would definitely keep an eye on because Back to the Future fans are incredibly passionate. And when a line is the first ever rendition of figure characters in their movie look, and the chance of this being done again may be slim. So really what it comes down to is knowing the brand, knowing how passionate the following is, how popular the content is, whether it's a movie or a comic or a book, and being able to navigate your way through fandom, applying your knowledge of brands and understanding how often products are going to be reissued or new versions are going to come out. And when you're looking at distribution, anything that is direct sales and not necessarily a retail item has a better chance because simply it has less distribution. All right, so a couple quick picks that I would say if you're looking in the long run to invest in toys, these are some lines you might want to pick up and put in your closet. Super 7's Disney Ultimates line. The reason I say this is because Disney fans are fanatical. And to get highly articulated action figures of Disney characters is very rare. And the fact that these aren't really at retail, they're online only, means that in a couple years, these are probably going to be worth a pretty penny. Marvel Legends Age of Apocalypse set. So this one breaks all the rules I just said about staying away from retail, but it plays up the fact that it's kind of a one and done. The chance of getting more and better versions of Age of Apocalypse figures is very slim. So I'm going to say that this wave and the new one coming out that sort of completes the set, there's a very good chance that these figures are going to rise in value faster than, say, your standard Wolverine, who's going to get reissued over and over and over again. This outfit, this storyline, very popular. And then finally, another non-retail online item, Plunderlings. Well, whether or not you've heard of this line, it's a highly articulated line of kind of cutesy, elfy, piratey characters that go around stealing things, and they work perfect, blending in with your action figure line. And they're already going for big bucks, 3-4 times their original asking price. I know Big Bad Toy Store sells them, And this is definitely a line I would keep an eye on because, again, not at retail, very popular, works with almost any toy line, just, sort of almost naturally fits in, stealing weapons from an Ewok just as much from a Doctor Doom. They work really well. All right, so those are some lines to maybe take a look at. The important thing is to have fun and don't count on making money. But if you are in it for the long haul and want to get toys to invest in, think nostalgia, think distribution, and think toys that will not be made again, meaning the character is not going to get remade over and over and over again. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do give it a subscription, a comment, a like. A share really helps because it tells YouTube to share with more people. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next one.